Hi everyone, it's Dr. Chloe here, and I wanted to take 2 seconds of your time to talk to you about a topic that I feel doesn't get enough attention, but it really should, and that is research hours. If you are a student aspiring to go to university, be it an undergraduate degree or a postgraduate degree such as veterinary medicine or any of the others, or if you're looking for a job, research and having research in your history and in your background can be incredibly beneficial. So, first and foremost, for the aspiring veterinary students of you, research is particularly important, and that's for a few reasons. Taking the US as an example, veterinary schools require a bunch of different things these days, but the top three are research hours, animal hours, and veterinary shadowing hours. These can be really challenging to get, although slightly less so often is the case with the shadowing hours or with the animal hours, but often people are at a bit of a loss of where to get the research hours from. And unfortunately, this is something that vet schools weigh quite heavily because it does demonstrate an ability to sort of understand the scientific process, apply it to your studies, and then apply it further once you've left your studies and you're a practicing veterinarian or anything that you decide to go on to be. So research hours are particularly beneficial for your vet school applications, not only beneficial but required in many cases. Secondly, they'll also help you within vet school itself. In Australia, we weren't required back in the day when I did veterinary medicine to have any research hours when applying to vet school. And then I got into vet school, and on top of all the other things that I had to learn, I had to also learn the scientific process. I had done an undergraduate degree in science, so I definitely had some grounding there, but what I didn't have is a lot of the literature reviews, a lot of the research techniques. I hadn't done anything with ethograms or behavioural studies. I hadn't really analysed any literature reviews, none of that. So during your degree itself, you'll be up against all of these new topics and everything, and having a firm grounding in the scientific process and the research process will seriously benefit you in that. The other reason that it's beneficial is post-veterinary school. So not only will research help you getting into veterinary school and help you while you're in veterinary school, but it will also help you after it. So having research under your belt is going to make you a more desirable candidate for many jobs. And also it'll make you a more desirable candidate for things like internships and residencies, which are further training that you can do after your veterinary degree. They're particularly important because if you have completed research and if you've also become published, then that is something that's a requirement for getting a residency. So to have a publication is a requirement in many residencies, and you'll be well on your way to that having completed some research beforehand. Another area that research is incredibly important is where it comes to wildlife medicine and conservation, and that's probably why I personally am so passionate about it. If you are aspiring to work with wildlife in any capacity at all, I highly recommend having a firm grounding in research because it's going to be something you perform in your everyday work. The reason that it's so important in this field as opposed to maybe some others is that if you think about it, we know quite a lot about our dogs and our cats that we work with as animal health professionals, but relatively much less is known about the wild species with which we work. And to find out about them is a critical step in conserving them. So finding out about their breeding behaviours, about their mating and social hierarchies, about their diets and their preference with what they like to eat, about their social behaviours and where they like to nest or where their dens are, and how big their populations are, what groups do they operate in, how important are those relationships to them, what interferes with those dynamics. I mean, we look at the whales and we know that shipping is a really big interference there. So studying these animals and having a firm understanding of them is the most critical step when it comes to conserving them, and that's why a firm grounding in research, I believe, is incredibly important in this space. And it's also something that everyone looks for when hiring their next candidate or taking their next intern or their next resident or even their next volunteer. So that's another place that research comes into play. I mentioned ethograms before, but things in wildlife medicine like camera traps, drone surveys, flying transects, all of these are stuff that you're going to learn in our Loop Abroad courses, and these are directly applicable to the field of wildlife medicine, and they're also pretty exciting too. One of my absolute favourite programs that we have on offer is the Belize Crocodile and Manatee Research Fellowship, which is totally online and it can be done from anywhere in the world. But as the name suggests, it is based in Belize, which means that you get to study crocodiles and manatees in their habitat using all the techniques I discussed before, from drone surveys and transects. And the best part about this program, in my opinion, is the fact that you get to learn from experts in this field, and also that your research and your finding will have direct, tangible effects in the real world for these animals. So manatee populations in particular are under threat in the region that you'll be studying them, the Placencia Lagoon. And this research will be helping to make the case essentially for the protection of this habitat, which is going to be one of a dwindling amount of spots that the manatees are safe in Belize, with the abundance of shipping ports and cruise ships that are popping up all around the place. So the protection of this area is critically important, and the research that's conducted through this program is going to be directly used to make the case for this area's protection. So I personally find that incredibly exciting and a great way to earn 100 hours towards your vet school applications, your grad school applications, or a job in the future. So that's one that I'm really excited about. We also have a zoo research fellowship. This one is based in South Africa. Again, it's totally online, so you can do it from anywhere in the world. It's taught by some of the most experienced people in the field, and you'll learn all about the welfare of captive animals and their behaviour, using the black-footed cat as an example, which is a small mammal that's endemic to southern parts of Africa. And it's actually quite elusive, so relatively little is known about it. So that's why this program is particularly important as well. During that program, you'll also get the chance to design different enrichments for the different captive animals in care, and then study their results. So study which ones have an impact and which ones don't, and through the process, help other zoos in learning about the enrichment process and what you've had success with and what perhaps not. So that's another great thing about research and coming back to wildlife, is the sharing of information between different facilities that work in the same space. So it's a very collaborative field, and one that you'll be able to be involved in from the get-go. So I think that's a fantastic opportunity as well. Back to Belize, we also have a jaguar and howler monkey research fellowship, which is really, really exciting. It's not yet open for enrollment, but keep your eyes out this summer. That's one I can highly recommend. And we also have a scientific research and design online course, which goes over the fundamentals of any sort of scientific process and the different techniques that you'll be using in your everyday lives and your study. In that program itself, we also have 3 workshops, which will be resume writing and cover letter and interview preparation as well. So that's a fantastic course to look at as well. But yes, I apologise for taking significantly more than the 2 seconds I promised at the start, but I just wanted to explain to you why research is such an important topic for me, and something that you should seriously consider if any of these aspirations are what you're working towards. If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out and ask me, and otherwise I look forward to seeing you on one of our programs soon.